Hello and welcome to the Box Score Breakdown Show, brought to you by Hoopball. My name is Adrian Benjamins. I'm joined by Neil Rochlani. Neil, how are you, man? How was your weekend?
Weekend was really good. I got to see some family and just vegged as we now head into the cold season here in Chicago. Um, Fantasy leagues, won one, 8-1. It looks like, and lose another one, 4-5. Very disappointing on my part. And then my home league team is just doing so. So fantasy wise, just doing okay. Great to be back on with you though. And this is already we've now finished 2 weeks of basketball, which that seems like it's just flown by to me. I don't know what you think.
2 weeks in the books. We're about to head into week three. We're getting deep into it, man. I love it. And man, I suffered a bad loss. I was telling you before we started recording, playing the legendary Dan Bespris in the Hoopball Staff League. He's gonna end up beating me 5-4. Thursday, I pulled a bonehead move and I forgot to set my lineup. I always set my lineup, Neil, every morning. It's like it's become ritual. Like, get a cup of coffee, check the news, set your lineup. It's like my morning ritual. And Thursday, man, I got thrown off my ritual. The kids put me in a funk. I didn't get my cup of coffee and set my lineup, and I just thought to myself, I'll just set it up later in the afternoon. And then I got so swamped in the afternoon. By the time I realized I did not set my lineup, the games had already started. It was like 4 something. So, anyways, man, super bummed. But hey, if you're not on it enough to set your lineup, you don't deserve to get a W for the
Yeah, I
week.
guess that's the case. Although I feel like you're in 11 leagues, so I don't know how you keep on top of that. I feel like I would miss my lineup way more than you do, um, if I was in
My
that
leagues, you know
situation.
what?
So I'm okay.
My leagues are really suffering this year. I hate to make excuses, man. No excuses, but um man, with the pod that we're doing other stuff. I got a second job, 2 kids. My leagues are suffering. And so now I know next season I think I got to cut back on some leagues because it's real hard to do 11 leagues with a super busy schedule and crazy kids. And so, anyways, man, no excuses though, man. I could still the season is still young, so still a lot of work to do. Neil, shall we get into it, man? We only got a 4 game slate, so I was thinking we could talk about. I think a really big topic right now is the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, one of the reasons why I think we should touch on this team, Neil, is because they just fired Tyronn Lue. There's a lot of buzz right now that Kevin Love could sit for an extended period of time due to a foot issue. You know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of what happened to Mike Conley a couple seasons ago, where he had an injury and they're just like, you know what, we're just gonna have you sit for 2 months or for 6 weeks, and then what? So Neil, this team's off to an 0-6 start. I feel like at the start of the season they thought that they could contend, but now they're real quick out the gate learning that they're not in a position to contend. So Neil, the biggest lesson or the biggest thing I'm taking away here is I'm going after Cleveland Cavalier players for the second half of the season. I've seen guys like Colin Sexton on a lot of wires, Larry Nance, although now I think he's picked up in most standard leagues. So what are your thoughts on the Cavs, Neil? Should we be targeting some of their like younger, fringier players for like second half stashes? What do you think about this whole situation, man?
Yeah, this so when they lost at home to Atlanta, when they got crushed at home to Atlanta, that was kind of for me a sign that maybe this was going to go downhill fast. Um, I was sort of fading Cleveland this year anyway, thinking they would at some point give up and let their new guys kind of take over the team, even if they were trying to compete at first. Didn't think it was really going to happen. I didn't think they have a shot to make the playoffs. So now that's all accelerated. Yeah, if Larry Nance is out there, that'd be great. I think I drafted him in one league and fortunately playing him now. if somehow he's still there, he would be my first pickup based on this Love news. I don't think Tristan Thompson is really worth picking up. Um, the other players I'm seeing are, George Hill might still be out there. Sam Decker got the start the other night. Rodney Hood. Maybe you can stream those guys. I actually picked up Colin Sexton in another league because I think he is going to get the keys sooner than later. I don't know when that means. It could be a month or two away. It may not be this calendar year, but I think he's going to be a really good player in terms of taking over. So if you can stash, but I don't think there's a rush to go pick up any Cavs right now, except for Larry Nance. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a mishmash of just a lot of minutes for a lot of different guys, and they're all going to be mediocre fantasy-wise. That's kind of my thoughts for like the intermediate term. I mean, near to intermediate term.
I agree with that. And, I picked up Colin Sexton today in the Hoopball Staff League, and in a lot of my standard leagues, I'm trying to see if I have the luxury just to pick him up and hold him. Because I agree with you. I think he's going to get let loose eventually, and I think he could be pretty decent. He's definitely going to still have some issues with efficiency and with turnovers. So it's not going to be all, it's not going to be super beautiful or anything, but I think he could provide some solid late round value. So I think if you can pick up Sexton, and again, like we said, if Larry Nance is somehow still available, make sure you snatch him up. And then, I'm keeping an eye on the wing position. We've seen some good games out of Rodney Hood and Jordan Clarkson. I'm kind of curious, are they going to move Kyle Korver? Are they going to move guys like J.R. Smith? If they're going full tank, it makes sense for them to get rid of some of these older assets. And, so if so, I think maybe a guy like Hood or Clarkson could step into some nice value. So I'm just keeping an eye on the situation. But anyways, it's an interesting, it's kind of interesting. All right, Neil, any closing thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, whenever there's like chaos in a team, that's where there's opportunity, or there's potential opportunity, I should say. There's no guarantee one or two people are going to emerge, but there could be, and they're probably not on anyone's team right now. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on it and get some insights, or just take a flyer on a guy, keep him for a couple of days, and then doesn't work out, you can just drop him again.
Yep. All right, Neil, shall we jump into the games for today? We got a 4-game slate. I believe the first game up was the Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets. Shall we get into it, man?
Please do. You want to start us off?
I'll start us off, and
right.
I think I'll stick with the Nets. And a letdown game for Joe Harris, who's been really solid to start the season, man. I think, there's a handful of guys that I say are like so far maybe the pickups of the season, and like Rodney Magruder. I put Joe Harris on that list. Let us down tonight, 7 points. Didn't have a defensive stat. 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 threes. He only took 6 shots, made 2 of them. So it's a pretty interesting line. Did play 30 minutes. I'm not worrying, though. I think Joe Harris, if you picked him up, hang on to him, keep him locked and loaded. I think he'll be fine. D'Angelo Russell, really nice game from him. And, at the very start of the season, kind of got off to a rough start, but he's starting to roll right now, Neil. I'm really happy to see this. 25 points, 1 block, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 5 threes tonight. Love that. And beautiful. He shot 9 of 14. Really great game from D'Angelo Russell. Karis LeVert, man, what can you say about this guy? This guy's having a breakout season, and 23 points, 7 assists, 3 rebounds, 4 of 7 from downtown, 9 of 18 from the field. Neil, I watched a lot of this game, and he's like the number 1 option on this team. Like, the ball goes through him first, and they're running a lot of plays for him. A lot of, he handles the ball. They're setting all these screens, comes off of them. He's super active. He looks healthy, congratulations, you guys, if you drafted Karis LeVert. I think this is 100% a real thing, not a fluke. He's locked and loaded for the season. And Neil, one other guy I want to talk about is Jared Allen. I own a lot of shares of him, was really high on him coming into the year. It's been somewhat disappointing. He had 11 points tonight, 2 blocks, a steal, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. This is actually a pretty decent line. I guess I was just hoping for more scoring from him. I thought he'd be, if not option 1, maybe option 2 on this offense. And he only got 6 shots tonight. So it kind of really gives you a clue on his usage in that, it seems like they're not running a lot for him. He's just getting his points like on a lot of cleanup stuff. And so anyways, I hope he can get his scoring up because like I said, tonight's a good indication of what he's capable of, contributing and rebounds, assists, defensive stats. If he can just get his scoring up, I think we'll all be pretty happy on him. Alan Crabb, nice game off the bench with 14 points. Dinwiddie, he's kind of taking a back seat now to D'Angelo Russell. So 12 points for him in 24 minutes. Not too much else here. Neil, do you got anything you want to add on the Brooklyn Nets?
Yeah, I just want to touch on your main point with LeVert. He's someone who I was wondering what would happen once Crabb came back and Hollis Jefferson, how might the usage work? Those guys have not worked their way back in the starting lineups. I'm not sure if they will. Hollis Jefferson, I'm assuming, will take over for Jared Dudley at some point, so I think this is a great time to scoop him up if he's out there in your waiver wire or his owner is the person who owns that in your league is kind of tired of him or willing to give him up for something cheap. And then the second thing is Dinwiddie. Yeah, I thought this guy might be a pretty good late round value, especially in like 14 or deeper leagues. But I really think with Russell playing well enough and LeVert being another ball handler out there, he's not going to get, I don't think, enough minutes to be fantasy useful in those somewhat deep leagues. But congrats on Russell's looking like a very good 8-cap player this year. I know his turnovers have been a little bit high, but 15 and 6 with 4 rebounds. He's shooting not horribly, 40%, and he's getting 90% from the free throw line. So that's it's good to see. And they played a really solid game against Golden State. So
yeah,
had a chance to win that.
Real quick, I want to add what you just said. They were in this game, Neil, I think with like a minute to go. They were only down by like 4 points. So this is really good sign for Harris, Russell, LeVert. As you mentioned, they got Hollis Jefferson coming back, Crabb coming back. They're not 100% yet. I'm not worried about Harris, Russell, and LeVert because they're playing really well. They hung in with the defending champs. So the fact that they're playing well, I think coach is going to just leave them out there. So, yeah, man, Nets looking good. Neil, why don't you take us into the Warriors, man?
Yeah, let's go on the Golden State side. Steph Curry just lighting the world on fire. 35 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Let me see how many I've got to change apps to get to my 3-pointer. Sorry, I was in the wrong one. He knocked down just 7 3-pointers tonight. Oh, my God, this guy's amazing. Klay Thompson, he's still kind of like not living up to his value yet. 18 points, 5 rebounds, no assists, shooting just under 50%, and just 1 of 2 from the line, stealing a block. Kevin Durant having another strong night, 34 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 10 of 11 from the line, 2 3-pointers, a steal and a block. Draymond Green, after having a good night the other night, had a decent night tonight, only 8 points, but 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 steals, 4 for 9 from the field. And then Damian Jones getting the start, but just 12 minutes. Unfortunately, this was someone I'd recommend maybe taking a flyer on after that first game, and clearly is not fantasy worthy. Just 2 points, a rebound, and an assist. And then none of their bench players really put up enough usage or enough time to really make a dent in the fantasy world. So, Curry, I think, and Durant are both going to finish in the top 3 or 4. I don't know. At least an 8-cat, they have chances for those, if not higher. And then I guess Klay Thompson is the one disappointment this year. I thought he might. I'm waiting for him to have his breakout game, but this hasn't happened yet. So You have any thoughts on Klay Thompson? Do you own him in any leagues? He's the one that is kind of like not living up to what I expected.
I'm glad you asked. I'm not a Klay Thompson guy. I never have been. I owned him one time. I think it was 3 seasons ago in my home league, and I was bored out of my mind, Neil. And I one thing I realized is so much of his value is based on points and threes because in all other categories he contributes like tonight he had 5 rebounds but he contributes so little like maybe he'll have 1 or 2 assists, maybe like tonight he had 1 steal, 1 block, but if the shooting's not there and the threes aren't there, he really gives you a bad line. So long term, Neil, I'm not super worried about Klay. I think he's going to be much better. I think he's just going through early season rough patch. I think he'll be fine, but personally I'm not a big Klay Thompson guy. Where he gets drafted, which is like that third, fourth round, I'm always looking elsewhere. So I hardly ever own him. But Neil, real quick, I just want to add Steph Curry making NBA history, first player in NBA history with at least 5 threes in 7 straight games. And man, this streak might keep going the way that he's shooting. I think he had 5 threes in this game, like in the first half. Don't quote me on that, but I know he had at least 4 threes like in the first 20 minutes of this game. So he is on a tear. And Neil, we were talking in the preseason how we thought it was crazy in some mocks we were doing in early drafts. We saw him slipping out of the top 5. And I think right now on the player radar, man, he's like in the top 2 or he's in the top 3 for sure. And he may stay there all season. So congrats if any of you guys were able to draft Steph Curry, especially anywhere after the pick 5, congratulations, you guys. All right, Neil, any other thoughts here?
No, I agree with what you said about Steph. He's on a mission this year, and he's going to finish in the top. And Klay, I think if you own him, you just kind of have to hold on and hope he improves. You really don't want to sell low on a guy if you draft him in the 3rd round. So he might turn it on still. We'll see. There's a long season still to go.
Yep. All right, man, let's jump into the next game. Should we head over to Utah and Dallas?
Please. Yeah, why don't you start us off?
All right. And I always pick Utah, but I'll tell you what, Neil, I'm going to be contrarian tonight. I'm going to take a look at the Dallas Mavericks side. And I'm going to start with DeAndre Jordan. Pretty nice game here. 12 points, 19 rebounds. You love that. 9 assists from DeAndre Jordan. Not expecting that from him. A block. How about this? A perfect 4 of 4 from the line. Am I reading this right? Is this DeAndre Jordan that I'm looking at? Crazy. 4 of 5 from the field. So you love that. Pretty nice game from him. Luka Doncic, 14 points, 1 steal, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, filling it up all over. 2 threes, 2 of 2 from the line, 5 of 13 from the field. Pretty decent game from Doncic. Neil, when I'm done with this box score, I got to ask you about Wesley Matthews because I'm hearing a lot of people dropping Wesley Matthews, and 22 points tonight, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 of 12 from the line, 2 threes. He played 36 minutes. I don't understand why there's so much Wesley Matthews hate. Not a guy who was drafted real high, so you most likely drafted him pretty late. I feel like he's going to put up some decent late round value this season. All right, Harrison Barnes, 7 points, 3 steals, an assist, 3 rebounds, shot 3 of 13. That's not good. My man, Dennis Smith Jr., 27 points, 2 blocks, 3 assists, 1 rebound, 12 of 19. Really happy to see good shooting from Dennis Smith Jr. 3 of 4 from downtown. I definitely like that. Beautiful game from DSJ. Not too much from the bench, Neil. Any thoughts on the Dallas Mavericks?
Yeah, DeAndre Jordan, like you mentioned, 4 for 4 from the line. He is shooting 85% from the free throw line this season. I know the sample is still relatively small, but it's hard to shoot that well and be a really bad free throw shooter, even on like 20 to 30 attempts, wherever he is, or maybe even less. That's still sort of statistically significant that he's shooting this well so early. And then the one thing I'll mention, Wesley Matthews, I did drop him for Colin Sexton because I was going for a speculative ad. Wesley Matthews, I just need, for someone who in the past he got a lot of steals, he's not really getting the steals this year. And his assists are kind of and his rebounds up until tonight were kind of low. So he was just sort of a points three-pointer guy. He could get better than that, and he's just not shooting well also, 5 of 17. So I think you're right. He is going to be a low-end starter at some point. Like, he'll evolve into a low-end starter in a 12-team league. But right now, I'm looking for a little more upside. So I'm pouncing on guys that might break the top 100 or even better. So that's my thought there. Should I go to Utah side, or do you want to add anything to that?
Nope. That sounds good.
Yeah, Utah, Rudy Gobert with the big night, 23 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, 9 of 13 shooting. And talking about another big man shooting well, 5 of 6 from the line, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 3 turnovers. Donovan Mitchell, 20 points, just 1 rebound, did have 4 assists, did shoot well, 10 of 19, a steal and a block. Ricky Rubio, 6 points, 1 rebound, 8 assists. That's surprising me, but that's good to see. And 1 steal. He's sort of been up and down all year, has had a couple really strong games and then a couple sort of mediocre games. Jay Crowder getting the start over, I guess it's over Derek Favors, who was out. 15 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 35 minutes. Joe Ingles kind of did a Joe Ingles thing. 31 minutes, 12 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 3-pointers, a steal. Did have 4 turnovers, though. I am going to put Crowder. I'm going to do some more research on Crowder. Do you know?
Yeah.
This is like he was just hurt, right? Favors was just hurt, so it's not like a rest.
Yeah, Favors missed this one due to left knee soreness, and
Okay.
It sounds precautionary. It doesn't sound like anything serious, but it is nice to know that if he does ever miss time, and we know that he is definitely injury prone and can miss some time, it's nice to know that Jay Crowder is the handcuff there.
Oh yeah, that's really good to know. Yeah, if you hear nose on. Yeah, sometimes you have to guess like who the handcuff, is, and knowing now it's Crowder, who can do definitely defense. It was a strong point, can shoot the threes and can get rebounds. So solid backup if that happens.
Nice. All right.
Any more thoughts on Utah? Or you want to move on?
Just want to say, man, Gobert, what a beast. What a nice line from him tonight. And, man, come on, Don Mitchell. I love to see he's shooting better, but he's got to step it up in some of these other categories here. No threes, just 1 rebound, 1 steal. Come on, man. Let's start filling it up. So, anyways, I'm hoping he can turn things around. All right, shall we move on?
Let's go over to OKC and Phoenix.
Suns and Thunder. Thunder got the victory here, 117 to 110. I'm going to start with the Thunder, and one thing I want to start on that I thought was real interesting. Steven Adams missed this game. Noel got the start, and Noel played nice. 20 points, 4 steals, a block, 2 assists, 15 rebounds, shot 9 of 14 from the field, 2 of 3 from the line. Love to see this from Noel, man. I hope he can keep this up. Paul George, great game, 23 points, 2 blocks, 3 steals, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 threes tonight. Great game from him. Russell Westbrook, 23 points, 4 steals, 7 assists, 9 rebounds. Filling it up, man. Did have 6 turnovers, but I think you'll be pretty happy with this line. Didn't have a 3, but shot okay. 7 of 10 from the line and 8 of 13 from the field. You'll take this game from him. Jeremy Grant, a guy that I own in a few leagues, deeper leagues. I'm happy to see this kind of game from him. 14 points, a steal. I wish he would have had a block because I'm hoping he can help me in that category. No blocks tonight. 1 assist, 4 rebounds, 5 of 8 from the line is nice. 4 of 9 from the field, 1 3. So I hope he can, play good and get some like late round value. I need him in some of my deeper leagues. 17 points from Patterson off the bench. Schroeder, not a great game from him. 12 points. Did have 7 assists and 4 rebounds, so actually not too bad from him. Neil, any thoughts on the OKC Thunder?
Yeah, well, the Noel line is just really what pops out to me. And just 26 minutes being to do 20 points. I mean, it is against Phoenix, right? So, and Ayton is still a baby out there. But 20 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals and a block. Usually when I hear a guy's out and I'm doing DFS, sometimes I'm hesitant to throw him in there because I'm like, maybe they won't put up such a great line, even like the obvious thing to do. And tonight, the obvious thing to do would have worked really well. Jeremy Grant is the other person who I'm kind of watching on this team who may not be owned in a league, and I'm just not ready to buy on him, mainly because his free throw percentages isn't great, and that usage from those other big guys tends to take up the oxygen. I was looking to see what he would do tonight with Adams out and see if maybe he could produce a little more, but in 37 minutes kind of had a mediocre line, so I'm kind of putting him on the back burner. Should I move on to Phoenix?
Yeah.
Okay. Phoenix, Ayton, 16, 11, 3 with a steal. Isaiah Canaan, just 6 minutes. We'll have to check. I don't see injured on my notes here, so I don't know what happened, but just 6 minutes and a rebound, no points, 2 assists. Ryan Anderson had a decent line, 15 points, 5 rebounds, a steal and a 3-pointer. Trevor Ariza, I don't know why I avoid this guy this year. I think his role is going to diminish some, and even in 28 minutes, didn't do much. 5 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Did get 2 steals though. Josh Jackson played 21 minutes, 8 points, 1 rebound. Looks like a lot of guys in the second unit got the minutes tonight. Okobo got 31 minutes. He had a solid line, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. I don't know if this is a sign of things to come or not. We'll have to look into that. Is it Mikal Bridges or Michael Bridges?
I think it's Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges.
I'm
so
probably
bad.
saying I'm actually probably saying that wrong.
Oh, I would say Bridges. Mr. Bridges scored 9 points, 1 rebound. TJ Warren, this is good to see from him. In just 22 minutes, 18 points, 8 rebounds. My other stats are not coming. Sorry. 18 points, 8 rebounds, and a block, 2 3-pointers. And that's kind of it. This is kind of a second unit kind of takes over type thing. Let me look up some news on Kane unless you have it in front of you.
I got it. So
yeah.
Kanan left this game with a sprained left ankle, which is why I believe he only played 6 minutes. And so Eli Okobo came in, French rookie point guard, came in and had a nice game here with the 18 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 threes. Neil, the Suns were really high on this guy in the draft. They were really excited when they drafted him. I'm kind of wondering if Okobo could maybe come in and steal this job. Kanan wasn't playing super great before this. So if Kanan's going to miss some time and Okobo keeps this up, man, he's got an opportunity here to take over. I think in leagues, you 14-team leaguers and deeper, where it's real rough out there on the wire, if you guys want to make a speculative ad, I'm all for it. I'm going to do it myself, man. In fact, Neil, I own Josh Jackson in a lot of these deep leagues. He's been really disappointing, man. In a game where Devin Booker did not play, he was horrible and just played 21 minutes. And my patience is really getting thin with this guy, man. I'll tell you what, in my home league, I'm probably going to drop Josh Jackson and pick up Okobo and see, so you guys where you need to be proactive, make that switch. Let's see what Okobo can do.
Yeah, if you have a player that's expendable, for sure, I think it's worth taking a chance on him. I have one league, the 14-team league we're in. I'm going to try to put a bid in and see what happens for him just to see. Because the guy I have on my roster, I'm not really excited about anyway. All right, we can go over to Washington Clippers. It's 3 minutes to go, but the game's basically over. I don't think any of the stats are going to change as it's all substitutes now. You want to lead us into that?
Sure thing, man. And I'm going to jump into the Clippers. And one of the reasons why I want to jump into the Clippers, Neil, is because I want to give you some major props, Neil. In the offseason, you were all over Montrezl Harrell. You were saying Harrell is the guy in that front court that stands out. He was going to eventually take over the starting gig over an older Gortat. And sometime over the weekend, Harrell broke out with 30 points. Tonight, he only played 16 minutes, which is a little disappointing, but still had 13 points, 6 rebounds, and assists, 2 blocks. I think, Neil, when Harrell had that 30-point game, I quickly, just to make sure, looked at every single one of my leagues to make sure that he was already owned, and he was. And I'm sure he has been for some time. And in most of my leagues, he was even drafted late. So I don't think he's really available on any wires. But Neil, I just had to give you some props, man, for being all over Harrell's for a while. Pat Bev, 11 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. Decent game from him. Avery Bradley showing some life here. 15 points, 5 assists, a rebound, 3 threes. 3 threes for Pat Bev, too. That's nice. Gallinari, little down game here. Only shot 4 of 14 with 11 points, a block, 2 steals, 2 assists, 7 rebounds. Still filling it up all over. As long as Gallinari's healthy, man, keep him locked and loaded. Tobias Harris having a great season. No defensive stats here. Kind of bummed to not see a steal and block. Not really what he's known for anyways. So we'll take the 22 points, 11 rebounds, 2 threes, shot a nice 9 of 14. Pretty happy with that line. Another guy that I want to highlight on this team, which is another reason why I wanted to jump on the Clippers, Neil, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I went ahead, I picked him up in most of my deep leagues. I'm stashing him for the second half of the season. I think there's going to be a point where he's going to be the guy. I'm really hoping the Clippers make a move to clear out some of this logjam in the backcourt. I really love what I've been seeing from Shai Gills, not only on the court, but also seems like that coaching staff really trusts him to be out there in crunch time and really important times of the game. To me, that's a really good sign that they're okay with maybe, making a trade later this season. So I'm stashing him in quite a few leagues, Neil. 10 points tonight, 2 steals, 5 assists, 7 rebounds in 26 minutes, added a 3, showing a little bit that he can, fill it up all over the place. I love this line from him. Real quick, Lou Williams in just 16 minutes had 17 points, 6 assists. Nice to see that from him, but a real disappointing, looks like it's going to be a disappointing season from Lou Will just because of the log jam that we talked about and because he's only getting limited minutes. All right, Neil, what are your thoughts on the Clippers, man?
Yeah, that's one of the that's just the Lou Williams is probably the biggest story to me because he's someone who in the past off the bench could produce top 50 value in limited minutes, and now with Shai, I'll just stay with that name because I'll probably butcher the rest. Doing so well, he is definitely going to cut into Lou's usage and time, and Lou Williams is going to probably still be playable in a 12-team league, but towards the bottom instead of in the middle of that pack. Harrell just happened to work out. I timed him in one league. It was sort of it wasn't just me. There's many obviously analysts who pegged him as a starter at some point and the one you wanted to own. So it's good to see that work out. And then Tobias Harris is just having a really solid season. I was a little bit not sure I could trust it because he's had some decent years but never great years, and this will be his first one where he's sort of like a fantasy stud, not just like a fourth, fifth round guy. But this year he's really stepping up as the lead person in LA, and they're playing really well. I mean, they won tonight. They beat Houston. They're a pretty solid team. Should I head over to the Clipper side?
Yeah.
Sorry, the Washington side. Sorry, right?
Wizards.
Yes, the Wizards. Thank you. John Wall, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists on 8 of 20 shooting. Excuse me. Did have 4 steals. Bradley Beal, 20 and 7 with just a 3-pointer and 3 or 5 from the line. I own Bradley Beal in 2 leagues, so I've noticed his free throw shooting has just been a little bit off this year. Not sure what's up with that. Markieff Morris did Played 14 minutes, got an elbow to the face, had to leave. It didn't look great. Hopefully it's not serious for him, but if it is, two guys we can talk about perhaps picking up. I'd like to get your opinion, Adrian, on who thinks better. Tonight, just one rebound before he got hurt. Otto Porter, someone, again, I tend to avoid because you have to rely on all those ancillary stats. And tonight just didn't have it. 6 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. And then Mahimi got to start. He's back in at center, 11.7 rebounds. Not someone I really am all that excited about, though. Did play 29 minutes. All right, so these are my 2 thoughts. Oubre or Jeff Green? Tonight, Jeff Green had the better line in 21 minutes, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Oubre, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Did only go 2 for 11 from shooting, so took 5 more shots than Green. And both these guys are perfect from the line. So they both will help you from the line. Oubre will probably get more 3-pointers. Do you have a preference? Who do you think they're going to start going forward if Markeith's out for a while?
So for me, Neil, it comes down to, as you pointed out, the usage. Check out the shots from Oubre getting 12 shots, even though he only made 2 of 12, and Green only getting 6 shots. So right there, that's one side. And then Oubre also got more minutes here, 26 for Oubre, 21 for Green. So to me, it seems like Oubre is the guy just by looking at those 2 categories. Then we take into account Kelly Oubre had a season high 22 points on 8 of 13 shots the other night. Had 13 shots the other night, 12 shots tonight. That's showing some really good usage right there. So got to go with that guy. I would definitely go Oubre over Jeff Green. And, let's see exactly how bad this injury is for Markieff Morris. As you mentioned, took that elbow to the face. Danilo Gallinari was coming down and just nailed him in the face. It looked like his elbow hit him directly, maybe on the top of the cheek. So it is possible he could be dealing with some type of a fracture or something like that, which keeps him out for a little while. So, I would have to assume high probability he's not going to miss too much time, maybe a game. But let's see what happens. And then just want to note, I kind of stayed away from the Washington Wizards due to the Dwight Howard effect. And we haven't even seen Dwight Howard in this lineup yet. But a little disappointing to see Otto Porter with just 6 points here, because I think Otto Porter and Markieff are going to be the 2 guys that take the biggest hit if Dwight ever gets into this lineup. What are your thoughts on it, Neil?
Yeah, I think we'll see. I mean, he hasn't even looked like he's close to really taking the court, so who knows? But yes, if he comes back, he's going to put a dent at sort of everyone's stats because of how much he demands the ball and crowds the lane and all of that. So it'll be that might be more of an if, though, right? I mean, we don't even know for sure if he's coming back, so we'll have to wait and see. And Markieff Morris, like you said, it could be just a game or it could be something more serious. We'll have to wait and see. I might put a bid for Shea, and then if I don't get Shea, I might go Jeff Green. I think Oubre is a safer pick, but I think Green might be cheaper, and he might actually do just okay or do just as well.
We've seen a few good games at the start of the season from Jeff Green. And, one other thing that's real interesting, Neil, Bradley Beal and John Wall really talked up Jeff Green in the preseason. And that's his hometown, so came back home. And I guess Beal and Wall said that in all the workouts and all the preseason practices, Jeff Green was a monster and that they expected big things from him this season. So I definitely can't be mad at you, man. If you want to lean Jeff Green, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I just think it's more likely I'll get him. And I think the stats going to be very comparable. We'll see. All right, that is it. You have any thoughts on anything else you've seen this weekend in the NBA or anything else going on you want to share with the fans out there?
No, man, I'm just happy that, stuff's starting to settle. We saw some weird stuff happening at the beginning of the season. I like now that, everything's starting to kind of settle in. We can make more moves based off of more consistent numbers and stats and like rotations. We're seeing, there were so many question marks, and now just stuff is becoming clear. So I'm excited for this upcoming week, man. I just let's get going, Neil.
Yeah, exactly. We're now in the swing of things. We can start to see things more predictable. As someone who owns two Minnesota Timberwolves players, I am very concerned about what's going on up north. I didn't think Tyronn Lue would be the first coach fired. Well, I didn't know. I did know it was going to be a tough year for Cleveland, so I guess anything was possible. I am curious to see what happens up with Jimmy Butler still. It looks like they're trying to get him out of there, and he wants out of there still. I mean, I guess he could play the whole season there. That would be crazy. But anyway, I think the stranger things have happened. Anyway.
Hey, I got to give you props again, Neil, on one of the shows last week. And I'm also glad that you're bringing up Jimmy Butler. On one of the shows last week, you had said that, you had thought that if they moved Jimmy Butler, it would be maybe more for draft picks. I had said, nah, man, like we're going to see players come back. Then all of a sudden, there's a lot of buzz that Houston Rockets are offering 4 draft picks for Jimmy Butler. And I thought, man, Neil was right on. What if Jimmy gets moved for 4 first-round draft picks? Crazy. So got to give you some props for kind of maybe potentially foreseeing that just Jimmy Butler could get moved on a deal like that. And then, Neil, I went ahead and this is just deep leagues, guys. I went ahead, I added Josh Okogie already in a few deep leagues. If Jimmy Butler gets moved, they don't get a solid wing guy back, Okogie could be the guy. We've already seen him have a couple good games. He's a two-way player, plays defense, can fill it up in like rebounds, steals, like one of those guys that's like kind of reminds me of like a baby Trevor Ariza, like can kind of fill it up a little all over. So I went ahead and I'm stashing him in a couple really deep leagues. But anyways, Neil, just wanted to touch on that.
Hey man, thanks. Yeah, we'll see what happens. You're right. It could be picks. It could be like you said. We don't know who's going to get the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I just hope he doesn't stay there all year because he's killing my boy Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah,
He's killing him mentally and physically. He's not putting up the stats, and I think Karl is getting depressed with him next.
Every Karl-Anthony Towns owner right now is just counting down the days for Jimmy to get out of there. And it's probably not even Cat, man. I mean, we're going to see a boost from Teague, Rose, Wiggins, like everyone on that team will benefit if Jimmy Butler gets out of there. So I think it's just a matter of time. There's no way he can stay there, man. There's no way. And that team's not doing so great. I don't have their record in front of me, but I feel like every time I watch them, they're pretty disappointing. So get them out of there, man, and let's move on.
Yeah, they lost by 30 points at home to Milwaukee, who's looking incredibly well along with Toronto in the East. So
yeah.
Anyway, you want to take us out?
Let's get out of here. You guys, please hit us up on Twitter. He's at Ball with Neil. Hit me up at Adrian Benjamins. All right, you guys, a lot of fun. We'll talk to you tomorrow.